Well, welcome back to the skating lesson. And Naomi, you are now joined by your pair partner and coaching partner, Themi Leftheris. So, welcome to the skating lesson again. So, Naomi, tell us, at what point did you think of becoming a pair skater?
I remember thinking, so I went to coach when I was about 18, and I just remember thinking, like, gosh, I'm still young. Um, I've always had an interest in pairs, and so why don't I start trying to look for a partner and start to skate pairs? And and then, at that time, Jenny and Todd were my pair coaches, and they started looking and trying to find some tryouts and trying to prepare me to become a pair skater. One of our mutual friends, his name is Benny Wu, actually suggested us to each other, right? Yes.
Yeah, yeah, more or less.
And Femi came into Aliso Viejo and kind of like
I was scoping the situation.
yeah, scoping the situation. And he came in with all of his triples, and he was like doing his triples like from toe to Lutz, and it just was scoping me out. And so I think after that we set up a tryout. He thought I was good enough, so.
Well, because she'd been gone for like how many years was it that you hadn't competed?
A long time, like 4 or 5 years or something. Yeah.
So there was just a lot of like the rumor on the street was that Naomi was looking to do pairs. And so I was like, well, why don't I just go down there and see if it's true? And so then we just started talking and we set something up.
Now, had you kept up your skating during this time? Because Themi was a hot commodity at that time. You had to beat out other girls to skate with him.
I did. Well, he had one other tryout, and I think it was between us, and it was Jennifer Dawn.
She was living with me at the time, I remember. She was not happy he chose you, Naomi.
And, I mean, I knew that he was going to have other tryouts because, pair guys like them were very rare. And so I remember thinking, like, I was a little jealous, but I was really confident in myself, so I was just wishing and hoping that he would pick me.
When you were trying out with them, Naomi, how confident were you that your hip would be able to withstand all of the pressure from the throw jumps and the training needed to be successful in this career?
Well, before I, looked for a partner, I was skating for about 8 months before, and I was like, okay, let's see if I can come back and see how my hip feels. And it felt great. So I wasn't worried about it at all. And because I hadn't skated in so long, I thought that, some of the cartilage had grown back, and it was in a much better state than it was before.
Now, given that you were working with Jenny and Todd at that time and that you had been coached by such a legendary pairs coach, why did you choose to work with Peter Oppegaard?
Well, Mr. Nix was trying to not teach any pairs. Mm-hmm. And at that time, it was very difficult for me to make the decision because Themi wasn't going to make a coaching change, and he was very adamant about that. And I was too in the beginning. But I think where my life was at that time, I did need to make some sort of training change in order for me to be successful. I think I was very comfortable with Jenny and Todd, and Mr. Nix had chose not to teach pairs. I was very comfortable with Jenny and Todd, and they're like my second family, and I think they're great pair coaches. But for me personally, I knew that I had to make the change in order for me to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Well, you guys had success very quickly as a pair team, and one of the interesting things is that you actually looked like a pair very early on. I think you'll see U.S. nationals. There will be pair teams where they'll be jumping at different times and they will be spinning at different times and they'll be in the top 10 at U.S. nationals. So how did you get that unison so quickly in your skating?
You want to answer that?
I think it was natural. Like, I think we've just both naturally kind of had similar timings to begin with. But I think one of the biggest reasons why we decided to skate together was our same goals and like our personality type. Like, we were just on the same page
with everything.
Yeah, the instant we met. And so I think that kind of filtered into our skating as well. And so that's why things just happened really fast.
And we really loved training with each other. I think we had a blast every day.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was-
there wasn't a day that we didn't laugh. And there were days that, we had a rough skate and we had a rough training day, but we knew to give each other space. It was like, but other than those couple days, we would like hang out with each other during our breaks. And, we were best friends.
We were best friends.
Yeah. We still are.
Well, that's wonderful. And Naomi, you were coming into this as a single skater, and everybody has a certain personality when they work by themselves. But yet, when you're in a group setting or you're in a team, you take on a certain role and the dynamic shifts. You talk about how well you guys got along off the ice, but what were your roles in terms of the team, and what was that dynamic in your relationship on the ice?
Well, I was in charge.
Obviously.
Well, I was the Jenny Kirk of your guys' duo.
You had that whip in your hand.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think that because she had so much experience and success already, I really believed in Naomi, and so when we were training, she helped bring a lot of things out of my skating and made me more comfortable, more confident. And then when she would have her moments where she was kind of intense, I would just be like, relax, everything's gonna be okay. So it was just a nice balance.
Yeah, it really was.
When you started this career, Naomi, what surprised you the most about skating pairs? Because I'm sure growing up, you watched skaters, you watched Jenny and Todd. What was unique about pair skating for you when you actually started to do it?
Well, that I was sore for the first whole year. It's really hard. I thought I would catch on to it really quick, but it was some of those. I would wake up in the morning and be like, "Oh my gosh, how am I gonna skate today? I'm so sore." And I think it's a lot harder than it looks. It's not just the throws. The throws weren't scary at all, and I think I caught on to those pretty quick. But the lifts is what makes you very, very sore. And the girl plays a big role in the lifts. It's you have to be as solid as a rock and not move in order for the guy to maneuver you around and do the lift as well as it should be done.
Sense. Well, starting the 2006-2007 season, you guys got off to a wonderful start, winning a bronze at Skate America. You went on to win bronze at Nationals. After that event, when you were looking ahead to the 2008 season, how confident were you that you would be in contention for that national title?
We were very confident, I think. Yeah. We had, we worked our butts off, and we wanted to win Nationals that year.
Mm-hmm. We felt like everything was kind of progressing as it should. We did well our first season. We did well our second season. So why not do even better our third season? And then, sorry.
Oh, no, I didn't know you were done. But one of the things that everyone remembers about your skating is that you had a lot of chemistry with each other, and you would bait everyone and pretend to be dating off the ice. Do you?
We didn't pretend to be gay, but that's the thing. We
Yeah.
never pretended. Everybody just assumed, I think, because we were so close.
Yeah.
So do you attribute your chemistry on the ice and your performances to just your friendship? Did you spend more time on your programs and the choreography than the other pairs? I mean, what really made the difference there?
I really think it was our friendship. I mean, because that made us want to work hard. That made us want to train hard and be with each other and skate with each other more hours and spend more time with each other. I really think that's what made us, look like a pair team.
Well, things seem to be going so well for you, definitely after that 2007 season, yet then you injured your hip, Naomi, and you had to receive surgery. What happened that second time around?
I was just in a lot of pain all the time. It wasn't something specific, but because I knew how it felt before, I was more aware of it. And so there was a point in time where I was in denial. I was just like, no, I'll just work through it. I mean, I did a lot of off-ice training to strengthen the area. I did a lot of physical therapy. So I wanted surgery to be the last option. And I think I just felt a little bit of pain like before our second year. It was
She started feeling pain actually
before nationals.
Before nationals 2007. So it was kind of something that was in the back of our minds, but we were like, we'll just rest and after this, get through this season. You know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it starts with the Grand Prix, and then you get something more, and then it's something more, and then your season becomes longer and longer, and so we're like, after this season, we'll just really give it some time to see how it feels.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Themi, how difficult was it for you to see Naomi struggling so much when she had to receive the surgery? And was that basically, did you know at that point that your pair career would be over?
It's hard because Naomi's always dealt with injuries throughout her whole skating career, and just luckily for me, I've never really had any serious injuries so I was like, I didn't really I just knew that she was feeling, because I could see a difference in just her attitude coming to the rink. You could tell that she was in pain and that she was trying to work through it. And I think the most important thing was for us to just have an open line of communication and see how are we going to be productive today without putting you at risk for the end of a season or not being able to compete for the season.
Yeah.
And
we did everything we could.
Yeah.
We were like, let's adjust our training schedule where, if I am in pain, we'll take the next day off and I'll recover and we'll skate through the weekend. Remember, we were doing that. We did everything that we could so that my hip can hold up, basically.
Well, you ended your partnership in October 2008 when you retired, Naomi. And Themi, you continued to compete and try out with new partners, but nothing ever really seemed to stick long term. So why do you think there are so many talented U.S. pair skaters who seem to be partnerless all the time, and you really don't see that as much with other countries?
I think if you're comparing it to other countries, not saying all countries, but specific countries, it's kind of like the decision isn't really left up to you. You're kind of told you're skating with her and you guys are going to be great, and that's that. And I think because in the States we have more freedom, but with that sense comes more responsibility. And I think you have to really be smart in the way you choose your partner and why you choose your partner. And it's just like a relationship. I mean, this is something you've worked towards your whole life. So it's not something you want to just kind of fall into and just hope it works. And so I think that's probably why there's been some issues with consistency and longevity in the pair teams.
You talk about the struggle for consistency and longevity, and we've seen so many pair teams with such potential split for dubious reasons. You guys are coaches now, so what advice do you have for current pair teams in order to, ride out those tough times to hang on for the longevity needed for a successful partnership?
Well, I think we have to separate what's really in the pair teams, what's really going to work and what's really not when we start putting them together. I think we're new at this too, but when we were looking for a partner for one of our students, we kind of had to look at every aspect, what is she going to look like in the future? What is she, before we make the decision, before there's a final decision made? What do her jumps look like? What, do you think she's going to grow? Do you think she's going to be big? Do you think she's going to stay small? There's so many things. And I would love to see a U.S. pair team stay together. And it's sad because I don't think the reason for their breakups are always skating related. It may be other, differences that they may have had in order for them to not be partners anymore, or they didn't agree on some things, or, I think they didn't have the same goals, or I think that's really tough to come by because we have so much freedom. because we're free to do, however many sports or however you look at the sport in however many different ways. So I think those are very, very important things. And for us, you have to get along. If you don't get along, I think some pairs split up because they just don't get along, and it's sad because they're good, but they don't get along, and so they'll split up. Whereas I think in other countries, they don't have that choice.
Yeah.
Who cares if you don't get along? You're still skating together,
Well, you talk about coaching and, putting pair teams together. How did you guys team up?
We've always kind of coached together since we were skating together.
Because even when we were training, we both coached on the side, and then as we, just started coaching more, I'd be like, "Oh, will you choreograph my students' programs?" And then she'd be like, "Oh, will you work on this with my student?"
Yeah.
And then it just
happened.
It happened really naturally and just kept growing.
And why not? Because we agree on everything. We really do. We haven't had a disagreement on coaching at all.
Well,
And even when we have arguments, I'm like, about this, or she's like, "You're right, I'm wrong about this." So it's like, we have arguments, but we just deal with them in an appropriate way, I suppose.
Very mature communication.
Yes.
How does that dynamic differ, or is it similar in terms of your coaching relationship compared to your relationship when you guys were training together?
It's not different at all. I feel like
I feel like the stress was a different type of stress when you're competing.
Yeah.
Because the majority of our arguments during competition would always happen a week before competition.
We didn't talk. Listen to this. We didn't talk the whole week before Skate America.
2 weeks before Skate
America.
America.
2 weeks before Skate America. And
she didn't talk to me for 2 weeks.
Was it just stress, or did something set you off,
I don't
Naomi?
even remember, because after the week when we were talking about it, I didn't even remember why I was mad at him to begin with.
It's just like, you're not supposed to talk to him, and then it just keeps going because you want to be stubborn. And
Well, I remember, I would try to hit him on my footwork with my arms.
And she'd be like, "You need to get further away. You need to be closer."
But then, towards the end of the week, he got really aggressive too, and our coach was like, "Okay, you guys need to work things out or something." And when we talked about it, I don't even remember why I was upset with him.
See, and I think a lot of it has to do with that you're just nervous because you want to go to a competition and do well, and you've got this other person that you can kind of just take it out on.
And you can't control the other person.
Also help you too. So it goes both ways.
So interesting. We never have any issues. Now, I've actually, do you play good cop, bad cop? Because I've heard that Naomi is the yeller of the two of you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just feel like she has a tendency, her temper's a little shorter, but she gets over stuff quicker.
Yeah.
As where it takes me a really long time to reach that point, but I'm going to hold on to it a bit longer.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I am a yeller.
But I mean, there has to be a yeller. Sometimes you just need kind of a kick in the...
That thunderstorm.
Yeah, I don't think there's a good cop or bad cop, because I think we're pretty much both on the same. I think our students fear us equally. Don't you think?
Healthy fears.
Healthy
Always
fear.
a good thing, yes.
Respect.
Healthy fear, not
Hopefully.
hopefully, hopefully, we'll see. But yeah, I think we're pretty equal. Themi is a nicer one. What am I talking about? Themi is definitely the nicer one.
Well, you originally coached at the East-West Ice Palace in Artesia, and that was the same rink that your former coach, Peter Opergaard, was working at. And when Elaine Zayak was on the show, she talked about when she was coaching at the same rink alongside the boards with her former coach, that there were a lot of issues and that it was very uncomfortable. So as an emerging coach who's looking to make, coaching a serious career, do you think it's important to move out on your own?
Yeah, I do. I do think it's important to move out on your own because I think we want to make a career for ourselves. I think we want the skating world for us to be known as Themi and Naomi, a coaching team. I think, and in order for us to do that, I think it was important for us to branch out.
Yeah, I think it's circumstances. I think that for us, the situation, it was just, kind of growing. And so, when it's time to just work on your own thing and do that. But I think for each situation, it's circumstantial because I've seen situations where students have
great
and coach
like Amanda and Jim.
Right, exactly. So I think it depends.
Mm-hmm. Well, you both coach. I mean, taken from coaches with such strong personalities. Who do you model your coaching style after?
Interesting.
I don't know.
I think that you work with so many coaches over your skating career, and you pick up different aspects from each coach that you felt really resonated with you.
Yeah.
And so I think it's all kind of a combination of yourself, what this coach taught you, what this coach taught you, what this coach taught you, and you just try to take the best of all that and apply it to your students. Yeah.
Well, as we look ahead to this year's Olympic Games, there is so much buzz about the return of Kim Yuna and her defense of her Olympic title. Now, you've both done a show with Kim Yuna in Korea in 2006, and Naomi, you seem to have a personal relationship with her. So how did this come about?
When I was doing some of the seminars in Korea when I was really younger, Mr. Nix actually, we did some seminars and Yuna was there. And I think from there, Yuna has, or I've been in shows, or Themi and I have been in shows with Yuna when she had just won Junior Worlds. And I think that's when, our moms developed a relationship and we kind of developed a relationship with each other. And when she came out here to train for the year, our families just got really close and we would hang out and I think we had Christmas dinner together and just developed a relationship from then on.
We often see Yuna on TV dominating in competitions, yet little is known for the public about her personality and the personality behind the woman who has all these world titles and the triples. So what is her personality like?
She's funny. She really is. And I think she doesn't like to talk about skating we've never had a conversation where we talked about skating a whole lot. Of course, our mothers were chatting off about it. But, she's just like a normal teen. She likes to do what normal teenagers do. And I think it's very difficult for her to do that because she is such a star. And there's a part of me wishes that, I could just take her away and, leave her mom and her agent and all that stuff. But I think she knows it's part of the business.
Yeah. And she's, remarkably modest and humble for being so successful. Just really sweet, very respectful, nice,
Yeah, she treated everyone. I mean, she was great to all the fans, all the skaters that came and asked for autographs, and she would just, put on a great big smile and be really grateful that they asked her for her autograph, which is so nice to see.
What do you think it is about her then that's enabled her to withstand all of the pressure and the expectations that are placed on her?
I think she's just headstrong. I think she just has it. I think that's what it is. And I think that's why she's been able to compete for so long in such a competitive sport. And especially because, skating's evolved into this IJS system where the demand of jumps are so difficult. I think she's handled all of her injuries wisely. Mm-hmm. I think, she travels with a trainer that goes with her everywhere and makes sure she's in shape and makes sure she's injury free. I think that really helps. And I think she's just been really smart and has a great team behind her. Mm-hmm. And that contributes a lot to her success. And why she's able to keep skating also.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that the attention that she's brought to skating in Korea will sustain after she moves on?
She's like, yes, absolutely. She's like a movie star. She's a
Pop star.
pop star.
She does it.
She does it all.
How about skating in Korea? Do you think that they'll still be interested in skating after she moves on?
I think so. I think so because I think she'll still be the face of a lot of the endorsements that she has. And so I think it'll remind the little girls of what she did. And, yeah, I do think so. I think she's going to be around for a long time. I think she's the most successful athlete Korea's ever had, I think.
A lot of people like to compare her as well to Michelle Kwan. Do you guys see similarities between the two of them?
Like in as far as like their
success and their success, their approach to the sport, what they've been able to achieve both on and off the ice.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, in a way that like if you talk to Michelle or Yuna, they're both just like very easygoing, very down to earth. Like you can tell that the brain's not just obsessed with skating, even though that's a huge. It's everything that they do,
Yeah.
And it's everything that they represent. But they're both very, just I guess quote unquote normal. Like you can have a decent conversation with them, and they're funny, and talk about school or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially Michelle, she's really she's amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've been around the skating world for most of your lives, and now you've chosen to continue to make your career in skating. What keeps you going and gives you the passion to return to the rink every day?
Well, for me, I know that I want my students to love skating as much as I do. And I think at the end of the day, when they go home and they feel success, like I know what that feels like, and I want them to have a taste of it. And it's so great to see when you have a student that's as hungry as you were, and you want to, teach them the mistakes that you made and what to do, what not to do. And I think that's what excites me, just to,
Yeah,
just for them to love skating.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's why we make such a good coaching team, because we can see you can see when your students have that same look on their face that you had when you were training and you were trying to get to that point. And so I think that's just very fulfilling in itself. Yeah.
Well, we wish you guys the best of luck with your coaching career. Thank you for giving us your time today, Naomi and Themi, and talking about your career. You were such a phenomenal pair team, and I'm sure you're equally as phenomenal as coaches. So we look forward to seeing you guys in the kiss and cry in the coming years.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for having
much.
us.